Hi, thanks for watching NBC News. I'm your host, Andy Dove. Today's top story. This week was a historic event for politics, as it was the first time that Republican and Democratic presidential candidates stood on the same debate stage. The debate, held at James Madison University and hosted by Dr. David Jones, brought candidates together to discuss certain positions on issues that relate to all of them and finding common ground, as well as concerns raised by the American people regarding their capabilities as political leaders. Some of the highlights of this debate: when asked about the Whole Women's Health versus Hellerstedt case, Donald Trump noted that while he doesn't know all the details of the case, the rulings are very new and he stands by whatever the Texas state government supports. In this response, Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders noted that Donald Trump's arguments were completely invalid. In fact, Bernie Sanders even asked what planet Donald Trump was from.
And to call Trump's comments on abortion shameful is probably understating that position. I don't know what world this person lives in.
Last word from Mr. Trump.
I just want to talk to Bernie real quick. I live here on Earth, actually. So yeah, that's the planet I live on. Thanks, Bern.
So, Bernie Sanders was asked what his plans were of securing the employment of American workers who work at those large-scale banks that might get broken down under his presidency. In response to this, Bernie Sanders noted that it is not the duty or authority of the U.S. government to determine the working places of those Americans who are displaced through these breakups.
Let me be very clear. What the legislation I've introduced says that the Secretary of the Treasury will have the authority to investigate and determine which banks pose systematic risks to our economy. For example, if they're too big to fail, they can bring down a significant part of the economy, and within a period of time, the Secretary can break them up. After they're broken up, it's their decision to reconfigure how they want to do it. It's not the government's business. We tell you that you can't be this big, you're too much of a danger. Go from there. This is how big you can be. And it's important to note that other federal regulations function similarly.
In response to this, the conservative candidates noted that if the U.S. government has the authority to break up the banks, then it also has the responsibility of ensuring that everyday Americans have employment and are able to support their families. Donald Trump noted that this kind of a plan under Bernie Sanders' presidency is a lot like breaking up Legos and putting them back together.
You can't break up the big banks. The reporter has a good point. How long will this process take of breaking them all up and reforming them? I know it seems like a perfect world where you can just break up a bunch of Legos and put them back together in 5 minutes. But where will all these workers go, and will they just be sitting in this giant waiting room of just people giving them money with your socialist agenda and help all programs? Are you going to take money from the working man to give to these workers who are sitting in this kind of leeway?
Immigration also came up in the debate. Donald Trump maintained his current position that a wall must be built in between the United States and Mexico, and that Mexico must pay for it. Rubio counter-argued that while physical barriers are important in maintaining immigration control, they are not the only measures that must be taken in combating this issue.
I think it's important to note that America is the most lenient nation when it comes to those here illegally. We're nice to them, and that has to end. But we can't build a wall. That's not the option for us. It's the 21st century. We have to deal with those that are here already reasonably and responsibly. So we need to secure our border first. Then we need to get enforcement in place, create an entry and exit traffic system, and then we can deal with the ones that are already here. So for those that are already here, if they've been here for 12 years, haven't committed any crimes, learned English, pay a fine because they have been here living illegally, and begin to pay their taxes and are employed, then they can get a work permit, which will eventually turn into citizenship. We can't sit around and wait for Democrats to grant these millions here illegally amnesty.
What is your plan there for securing the border without a wall?
With the wall, what happens if someone builds a tunnel?
That's all we have for today. Thanks for watching NBC News. I'm Andy Duff. Bye.